This episode of Worldview Everlasting is brought to you by the letter Awesome, the numbers Sweet Action, and Issues Etc. Talk radio for the thinking Christian. IssuesETC.org.
Hey Internet, welcome to Worldview Everlasting, your favorite YouTube addiction. And I know we kind of been on and off again a little bit here, trying to rethink a few things, but in the meantime, still going to try to keep some regular content coming your way. So, the gospel text for this coming week is Mark chapter 12, verses 38 to 44. Two little tiny pericopes that you definitely want to pay attention to together. Stick around. Now you just gotta remember right off the bat that in the context, Jesus has been in a heated and escalating fight.
Bow to your sensei! Bow to your sensei!
Verbally speaking, with the Pharisees and Sadducees, and that this is about the pinnacle of it all. I mean, they're about ready to absolutely murder this guy, literally speaking. And he keeps going at them, particularly for their insistence upon the traditions of the elders over and against the actual word of God. And this traditions of the elders was not actually from any Levitical or Torah code that God gave them on Sinai, but they believed that it was. And they were using it at times to even make the actual word of God given at Sinai go away. The example today then is Jesus once again confronting them over this fact that for the sake of their teachings about their traditions, they are in fact ignoring the Christians they ought to be caring for the most, namely the widow offering the mite, who in most of Christian history is lauded as basically what you're supposed to do, but that's not really the point of the text. But you got to take it with the text that comes before it if you really want to see. Right after Jesus baffles them all by insisting that the Christ must both be David's son and David's Lord, he then takes their silent, awestruck opportunity to deliver these scathing words. Beware of the scribes, who like to walk around in long robes and like greetings in the marketplaces, and have the best seats of the synagogue and the places of honor at feasts. Here's the key terms: who devour widows' houses and for a pretense make long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation. And he sat down after saying these things opposite the treasury, which was the place where the money and the offerings were stored for the temple, part of the court of the women, which was an additional idea added in Second Temple post-exilic Jerusalem. There aren't actually commands for this kind of offering and treasury to be received and maintained in any of the Old Testament codes, but it had become the established expectation, in fact, that thing which the Pharisees and scribes were preaching and benefiting from. And after saying these words against them about them destroying widows, he sits down opposite their money box, and he watches the people putting money into the money box. And many rich people are coming and putting in large sums. Everyone can see it happening. Look at me putting lots of money in. And a poor widow came and put in 2 copper coins. And he called his disciples to him and he said, "See right there? This poor widow has put in more than everybody else because she's put in everything she has to live on. In fact, she's probably going to go without food for several days this week now." Because why? Because of the teaching of the elders, which is not leading the people to in fact care for each other under the grace of God, but to make a big show of giving so that she feels so compelled to give her last bit so she can give something so she can look righteous like the rest of them. Of course, they all contribute out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty puts in all that she has to live on. Now, Jesus is not condemning nor lauding the widow herself. What he's condemning is the teaching which has led them to believe that they must justify themselves in his sight, right? Based on these actions that have nothing to do with the blood atonement sacrifices that are coming to give forgiveness for you. The fact of the matter is that widow didn't need to give any offerings at all to God. She should have been coming simply to receive the free and total forgiveness which was promised in the old covenant, pointing forward to the new covenant that was about to be established by the death of Christ himself. And that's the key thing you want to keep in mind as you listen to and hear this text preached this coming week. As Jesus has been doing all the way through the gospel, he is trying to demonstrate that none of us have any standing before God whatsoever, but that the more that we point to ourselves, we just end up destroying ourselves and each other, ignoring the actual needs of the people that are around us, and in the same time being blinded to being able to see the salvation even if he comes and sits down in our midst. Of course, as Jesus comes out of the temple, they say to him, "Hey, look, isn't this temple great?" And he's like, "Guys, this is what I'm talking about. All this money you've put into this, making yourselves think that this is what it's all about. I tell you the truth, this thing's going to be torn down because this covenant, it's all over. Good thing I'm here to establish a new one," right? So get to the cross as you preach it. Thanks for tuning in to Worldview Everlasting. Rock on.